Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of The Variety Views. I'm your host, The Variety Vendor, and here to review Royal Rumble, the second ever Royal Rumble show, 1989, which I believe was the first pay-per-view. The first Royal Rumble pay-per-view, and it was in January 15th, 1989, in the Summit, which is in Houston, Texas. Now, I've heard a lot of stories about the Summit, and the most famous story is where the Clique was pretty much holding Vince McMahon hostage because they just didn't like their pay. Now, there are differing stories where Kevin Nash was talking about, no, we wanted to know what our direction was, and some people would talk about it and say, like, no, it was a money thing. So, believe what you want to believe, but either way, take it with a pinch of salt. So, now let's get to the show. There were some dark matches. We had Sam Houston versus Steve Lombardi, Jim Powers versus Barry Horowitz. Now, Jim Powers was prominently featured. Actually, he was in the main event of the first Royal Rumble show. Him and Paul Roma, as part of the Young Stallions, going up against the Islanders. That match was like one of my favorite matches of the show, if not like the best match of the show. So I was kind of surprised that he wasn't on this pay-per-view, in the actual show rather than a dark match. So we start off the show with a 2 out of 3 falls match. It's like watching 1988 all over again, with definitely, in my opinion, the best match of the night. This was the best match of the night. This was so freaking awesome. Such an awesome match. You had Jim Duggan partnering up with the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart, going up against Dino Bravo and the Fabulous Rougeaus, Jacques and Raymond Rougeau, or Raymond. And they're accompanied by Frenchie Martin and Jimmy Hart. Now, there's a story going on with Jimmy Hart once managing the Hart Foundation. Now he's going with the Fabulous Rougeaus, who came in as baby faces and then turned, heel, and aligning themselves with Jimmy Hart. Now, the stuff between the Rougeaus and the Hart Foundation, especially with Bret, especially stuff between Bret and Jacques, freaking awesome. Awesome stuff. Jacques just paintbrushing Bret, just the weirdest slaps, the sissiest of slaps. And I couldn't stop laughing just watching it. It's just so freaking funny. And they worked so well. Bret took the first he was the one to eat the first fall because of the Fabulous Rougeau's finisher. And the second fall, Jim Duggan won it for his team, I believe, by pinning Raymond. And the way that he pinned him was like, he pinned him, and the heels tried to kick him off, but he wouldn't budge. He's like, screw you. I'm taking the pin. I'm not moving. Usually, whenever you're seeing matches nowadays, it just takes a little shove and the pin is broken up. But at that time, I loved the idea of it being such a sport where it's like, screw you, it takes more than that to get me off. I'm taking this pin. This pin is so important to me. Freaking awesome stuff. I love this match. This match went 15 minutes, didn't feel like it whatsoever. I've got it playing right here, right now. It's such a great match. Dino Bravo is also great in this match. It's such a shame that he never got to become a huge star in the WWF, and because I believe the sky was the limit for him. He had a great body, and not just that, but he was a great worker. He was a great guy that you can work around. He's such a strong base, of a wrestler for other wrestlers to come in. Think of a guy like, I would equate him to maybe like a Randy Orton or a Triple H. a good base, and then like somebody from with a different style can come in and somehow make that person seem that much better. You know, whether it's a high flyer coming in or a technician, and it just makes Dino seem that much larger. You know, and he's freaking strong as hell. So, you know, there you go. This match, I give this match a 4, and I want to go 4.5 because the fans were freaking hot throughout the match, and they loved the baby faces and they hated the heels. How often do you get that? It was great. It was freaking awesome. The heels tried to cheat, and then by the end, Hacksaw was like, "Screw this," and I believe he hit Dino with the 2x4, and Brett went for the pin. Ref had his back turned. Brett went for the pin. 1, 2, 3. Boom. Here are your winners. The freaking baby faces. Jim Duggan and Hart Foundation. One comment I liked was Jesse Ventura was like, why is the crowd chanting for USA when Brett is Canadian? And, you know, Gorilla tried to cover it up by saying, well, you know, he's affiliated with Jim Duggan. You know, so there you go. He feeds off it. But Jesse Ventura was just freaking on fire the entire show, calling parts of the show like single moments where he would go like, you know, that didn't make any sense. Why did that happen? You know, and Gorilla Monsoon tries to cover up being the babyface. So I really like that. Then we get to the second match on the card. Well, before that, we had the freaking... Oh, my God. This was the worst thing on the show. This was definitely the worst thing on the show. We had, after the great match to start off the show, freaking hot, and I was like, man, this is going to be the show. This is going to be a great show. Then we have a freaking pose down. Ravishing Rick Rude being accompanied to the ring. Now he's Ravishing Rick Rude, because remember, in the first show he wasn't. Here he's been Ravishing Rick Rude for a couple of months. And he comes out with Bobby Heenan. And Bobby Heenan tries. Oh my God, he tries. He tries so hard. God rest his soul. He tried. And actually, everybody involved in this segment, except for Ventura, is freaking gone. Which is freaking sad. Seeing like a bunch of ghosts on TV, seeing like Mean Gene, Ultimate Warrior, Rick Rude, and Bobby Heenan. And it's sad. So I'm watching this, and I remember it. I remember seeing it as a kid, and I remember kind of enjoying it, but mainly because, you know, the way I remember it is that I enjoyed it, but I'm pretty sure at the time I was bored. It's one of those things where your mind tries to convince you that a segment was good just because you love the people involved. I was always a fan of Rick Rude. I was always a fan of the Ultimate Warrior. He was probably the only babyface from the 80s that I was a fan of. Everybody else I just freaking hated, and the heels I loved. So the segment itself, Rude is trying so hard to make it seem legit. He's oiling up his body as much as he can. But they never took it seriously. They never took the segment seriously. Now, look, I'm not saying that, you know, you make it as serious as can be. But a little effort goes a long way. At least in the first show, when you had Dino Bravo doing the bench press thing, it wasn't in the ring. It was done like close to the entranceway where they had a podium, and it seemed like a freaking legit thing. It had a look of what they were going for. They're like a bodybuilding thing. Here, it was in the ring. They're wearing their wrestling attire, and I'm on the fence with it, where it's like, you know, wrestlers from the 80s are like superheroes, where it's like, when you think Hogan or you think Ultimate Warrior, sure, they're going to get their groceries in their wrestling attire. You think of freaking Andre in his singlet, like, you know, table for two, going to like a freaking restaurant. You know, I just imagine it, and it puts a smile on my face, because I like to think that those wrestlers were freaking superheroes, were comic book characters at that time. So I'm just I'm watching this and it's freaking boring. And freaking Bobby Heenan tries and tries and tries. And the commentators are talking over Gene, and Gene is talking over the commentators. He had an earpiece. Nobody was telling him, like, hey, just shut up for a second because the commentators are talking. Or maybe or somebody, feeds into the commentary because they're wearing their headsets. It's like, hey, just freaking shut up for a second. Mean Gene is trying to explain the rules of this freaking segment. This was bad in every way. And the fans tried to be invested into this, but you can't. You can't. It's ininvestable. Or however you wanna go about it. You can't be invested in it. So yeah, I just made up a word. Ininvestable. Uninvestable. Whatever. You get what I mean. Anyways. So they do the pose down. Rude is trying and he looks freaking great. And Warrior, actually, it would have been better if it was Hogan, because Hogan would have been Hogan is so smart in playing to the crowd, he would have done a much better job. But Warrior, the way he's doing it, he's just, I don't know. If the segment was wacky, if it went full-on wacky, I would have loved it. If it would have been, like, super serious, I would have loved it. But it's somewhere in the middle where it's like they're not going 100% with it. Where they're like, no, it would be too wacky, pull back. And it's just, I love this part. The facial expressions from Brett is always freaking amazing. Love that. Look at that. The camera work was freaking spot on. Frickin', I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars. This gets 4.5 stars. This segment, however, gets freaking minus 2 stars. This was bad. This was absolutely bad. I did not like this. This didn't work for anybody. And by the end, Rude hits him with the flexor, I guess. The freaking metal bar that he uses to flex, and runs off. Then officials come into the ring, and Ultimate Warrior beats them up and runs off. He should have done his finisher. He should have picked up Dave Hebner, or any of the others. Who was the other one? I believe it was no, it wasn't. God. Anyways, like, he could have picked up one of them in a gorilla press, did something, did his body splash, just something to let the fans be happy that they got this segment. Just something. But no, we didn't get that. He just freaking runs off, runs to the back. Absolutely pointless segment. I give it minus 2 stars. It's absolutely bad. Then we get Rockin' Robin defending her WWF World Wrestling Federation Ladies Heavyweight Championship, against Judy Martin. Now, before they started, Sensational Sherry comes out and she's like, whoever wins between you two, I'm facing on I guess Saturday Night's Main Event, which is like the following month. And I tend to forget that Sherry used to be a wrestler. I sometimes forget it. I'm like, yeah, she was in segments and stuff, but I tend to forget she was a wrestler. That's how she was broken in. She was a wrestler. She started off as a wrestler, and then she became a manager, then manager/wrestler, and then a full-time manager. Like, that's what she was, and I tend to forget that. Now, this match was freaking boring. The best part of this match, the only thing that kept this match entertaining, was the commentary, honestly. Sherry was entertaining, absolutely entertaining, and Ventura, the stuff with her and with Ventura and Sherry is freaking awesome. And Sherry was talking about her losing the title back in France, and then she was like, well, I didn't get enough notice, so I gave them just as much notice as I got when I defended my championship in France. And, Ventura's like, hey, the rules must have been different there. Being a foreigner in a foreign land, of course, you were handicapped in that match. So, I don't blame you for losing your championship. And plus, how can you understand the referee's count in French? And Gorilla Monsoon, without missing a beat, goes, un, deux, trois? it's just like, it's a universal language wherever you go. It's a simple 1 2 3, and the commentary was just freaking amazing. The match itself was nothing to write home about. Rockin' Robin wins at the end with she feinted a second rope body press and a crossbody, I should say, twisting crossbody. But Judy Martin, she feinted it, and Judy went down. Then she got up, and she's like, "Where is she?" And then Rockin' Robin still on the second rope, and then she jumps off, and then boom, 1 2 3, and that's it. It was a very short match, and they didn't do much. So I probably give it like a freaking the only like I said, the saving grace of this match was the commentary. So for that alone, I give it a 1.5 stars, just because of the commentary, and it did seem like they tried. It's just like they were cut for time, and like the fans kind of like Rockin' Robin just because they knew that she was a babyface, but much more than that, they didn't care. They didn't like they weren't like in love with her. So a 1.5 stars, just whatever. Then we get King Haku going up against Harley Race for the King of the Ring crown and cape. And cape, remember that. Now, before that, Harley Race went away for a bit because he had some injuries. So he gave up his crown and cape to Haku. Haku didn't win like a tournament. So Harley Race gave it up. Then he came back. And he was like, "You stole it from me." What? Didn't make any sense. Even like Gorilla Monsoon tried to explain it by saying it as such. Harley Race was, he was taken advantage of, and that King Haku, stole the crown. And even Ventura was like, "No, he didn't. He didn't steal it. He earned it. He got it from Harley Race." And Gorilla Monsoon, "I don't know what you're talking about. And what a maneuver!" And they just like tried to switch subjects just so that they switch topics just so that Gorilla Monsoon can be let off the hook. And by the end, King Haku wins with a super kick to the frickin' face. My God, it was such a devastating super kick. It was like right in the fucking mouth. Just ooh. Wow. And probably give this match two stars. 2 stars. This match wasn't anything interesting, but I did like the snugness of it. It was a little bit snug, and the freaking ending, that super kick was just wow. And that is the only reason I give it 2 stars. It didn't another match. It just went for like 9 minutes, and I like the snugness, but that's it. Like the fans didn't know who to cheer for. Like they were on the fence because they are so used to booing Harley Race and they're so used to booing Haku. There's nothing redeeming about any of them, so why should they cheer for any of them? That's why I think this match failed. And I give it 2 stars. And finally, we get the Royal Rumble. First ever 30-man Royal Rumble match, because the first one was 20 men. Still, we got the 2-minute intervals. And I gotta say, this match had more star power, and it was definitely better than the first one, but not by much. Not by much. Actually, you know what? Come to think of it, I think the first one was better. I think the first one was better because I think the way that it was done, the way that it was booked, was done in a way where you get a few guys that were enhancement talent, and then you get, somewhat of a big name. Then you get a few enhancement talent and somewhat of a big name. The star power in the '89 Rumble was much higher. Like it's freaking land and sky. That's the difference between between the two. But I gotta say, like, the first one was better booked, and also the ending was better in the first one. And I agree with the ending of the first one, of the winner of the first one. This one, not so much. I don't think Stud should have won this. And even the fans were kind of deflated. They were like, huh, guess he won. They only cheered when the heel went over the top rope. But then they were like, huh, okay. The heel lost. Whatever. That was it. That was it. Now, I'm thinking of, like, everyone that was in there. Who should have won? Honestly, you could have had either Hogan win this. Would have made so much more sense going up against Randy Savage. You could have had Big Boss Man win that, since he was supposed to face Hogan the following month. Or I think it was the Twin Towers versus Hogan and Savage. You could have had Ted DiBiase win, because he didn't have anything going on for him. But if you wanted a babyface to win, like really bad, you could have had Hogan. If not Hogan, you could have had frickin' Jake Roberts. Jake Roberts was in there. And the ending of him bringing in the Snake and Andre going out the top rope would have been a frickin' genius idea to end the match. It would have been huge. It would have been a huge pop. But no, we didn't get that. You got Big John Studd. And the ending of the match, like, I like the stuff with Ted DiBiase, where Ted DiBiase is like, hey, I'm going to give you some money and stuff like that. And Studd is like, nope. And then there was like a fun exchange where Ted DiBiase went for the right. Studd blocked it. DiBiase went for the left. Studd blocked it. DiBiase went for a kick. Studd grabbed his leg. And it was just like boom, boom, boom. And it was a well choreographed spot. I really liked it. But beyond that, it was like double arm suplex, gut wrench. It didn't look good. The gut wrench didn't look good at all. Studd could barely freaking move. He looked like he was in pain. I think he had some sort of like staph infection on his back. Like there was something protruding out of his lower back. And it looked like freaking disgusting. Match itself was nothing to write home about. The best part of the match was the stuff with Hogan. And the stuff kind of was Savage. And there was really good seeds by Savage in this match of him turning heel. Like, for example, Bad News Brown was getting pummeled by Shawn Michaels. Then Randy Savage just came out of nowhere and just beat up Shawn and helped Bad News Brown throw out Shawn Michaels. Shawn the babyface. Bad News Brown the heel. So there were seeds planted. There were a couple of times where Hogan was in peril. Savage didn't help. Savage acted as if he was busy with a bushwhacker, a freaking comedy character. So, and that's another thing that I didn't like in this match, the stuff with the bushwhackers, where it didn't show a freaking sense of urgency where, like, one mistake could cost you everything. But no, you had one of the bushwhackers just hot-dogging to the crowd while a babyface is being pummeled in the corner. Or something is going on. Like, everybody's busy with somebody, and he's like the odd man out, and he's just like, whoa! I used to like the Bushwhackers when I was a kid, but I don't know. Like, looking back, they kind of sucked. They kind of sucked. So, really getting much more appreciation for comedy characters that actually worked. So, match itself, I'm probably going to go with 3 stars. It's not that good. Really, it's one of those missable rumbles. It was a good match, but not a good, like, by Royal Rumble standards. And also, there was nothing on the line. Now, it's understandable with the first one, because it's like, it's more of a experiment. But with the second one, by the time you get to the second one, it's an actual pay-per-view. That's when they should have been like, okay, winner gets a title shot. Either at WrestleMania or at Saturday Night's Main Event. Whatever. You know, there should have been something on the line. I mean, for God's sakes, every gimmick match used to mean something. There was a reason for gimmick matches. But it's so weird that the greatest gimmick of all time, in its early stages, wasn't for anything. The ones in the house shows, however, were for something. Oh, the worst thing on the show. The segment, not rude. So, on the house shows, there was something. There was something on the line, where the winner of a Royal Rumble and a house show will get a title shot in the following house show. You know, and like the next time they come around, he gets another title shot. So, but whatever. Entire show, I'm probably gonna go with. It wasn't a great Rumble. It wasn't a great Rumble pay-per-view. The first show, I remember, I gave it like a. I believe I gave it an 8. Either a 7.5 or an 8. But this show, the best thing on this show was the opener. And then it just went downhill after that. So, probably going to go with a 5. A 5 out of 10. It didn't flow as well as the first one. And there are many moments in this show where I was just freaking bored. And the only reason why I just kept focused on the show was because of this review. That was it. If anything else, in the middle of the show, I could have switched to something else. But for the sake of this review, I freaking soldiered on. So, that's all I got to say about that. And with that being said, like, comment, and subscribe. Ding that bell icon for future episodes on the Variety Vendor channel. And check out my next video. We talk about something else. Till then, take care.